Greetings. We know that 2.1 update will be called Engineers. But what do we know about this update? We know that there will be 4 new weapons, huge large multi-cannon and huge pulse and beam lasers, which alone is pretty cool. But there is so much more. Before I get into details, I want to tell you that I will keep my blood pressure and excitement level down to minimum because remember Wings, remember Power Play. We were so excited. Remember, devs told us that they will completely rehaul mission system. And because developers did not share with us complete details of upcoming updates, what we can expect and stuff like that, we always kept our hopes way too high. Not this time. That way I'm sure that I will enjoy this update much more. And I would advise you do same. That said, let's start with characterization. Characters will have faces, NPC characters, and finally we will have persistent NPCs. The guys that will be there every single time you come. However, from what I have read, we will not be able to customize our own characters. That will come with multi-crew, which should be released in this year's fall. Their intention is to make every single mission giver in the game to be character, and not faceless entities like factions now. Still, engineers will be tied to minor factions, and minor factions are political entities with star system. And all starports, outposts, surface ports and surface installations are owned by factions. Every faction has influence. How strong faction is in every system is determined by its strength. And we can influence that by completing different kind of missions, bounty hunting, selling exploration data and other activities. And whichever minor faction controls primary starport in system is considered to be controlling faction for that system. And it's important because minor faction that owns that port will determine its law. Just keep in mind that power is above all, so if that system falls under any power jurisdiction, some laws and commodity prices can be overridden. And connection between powers and minor factions is something that developers will improve over Season 2 and even beyond. And our relationship with minor faction will determine who within that organization will deal with us. So better our relationship is, higher level character will deal with us, providing with much greater benefits in terms of reward. Maintaining decent reputation with that minor faction is a wise policy. Great, more grinding. Engineers are individuals with their own characteristics, history and specialization, who will facilitate crafting. That's kinda important. They are spread throughout human space and they are the people to see about implementing change to your weapons and modules. And engineers will provide you with blueprints, which describe materials and items needed for specific modification, and they will apply them to weapon or module. Please increase material limit to at least 500, but I would say 1000, or give us storage space, please. Because even in Fallout, which David Braben was referring to, we have ability to store anything we want in containers. Why not providing us with same option in Elite? Every engineer will have its own backstory, preferences and specialization. Initially there will be around 30 engineers, with ability to add more later. Hopefully engineers will be unique, but I'm thinking more like they will have like 4 or 5 specializations and different levels. Higher level engineers will provide you with better blueprints, and in the end we will be using only maybe 3 or 4 different engineers because all others will be useless. I hope I'm wrong, really. And your ranking also will play a big part in accessing different blueprints. So the higher your naval rank, the better blueprint will be if that's a Federal Navy engineer. Some engineers will require high Pilots Federation ranks, including Combat, Trade, Exploration and CQC. Some engineers will be affiliated with minor faction, and we will have to manage our relationship before we even have access to that engineer. So even if we don't see any engineer when we are docked, it doesn't mean there isn't one. I just hope that Frontier will not send us on wild goose chase. Each engineer has a specialization, meaning that each of them will deal with a specific weapon type or module. And like I said, initially we will have 30 engineers. If you find right engineer and you reach minimum threshold for him to contact you, then you should be able to get his blueprints, but you will still have to get materials. Engineers are spread geographically to add more geography to the map, but also to fit with individual characteristics. So you will have to locate them. Probably Reddit or Frontier Forum will have all information necessary, so it's not a big deal. I hope geographically doesn't mean randomly, and I hope there will be at least some information about engineer whereabouts, so we can figure out logically their locations. And engineers tend to be found at their own isolated facilities on planet surfaces. And if you can't land, if you don't own Horizons, you will not be able to contact them. And for commanders' sake who do not own Horizons, I hope that at least several engineers will be located at space stations, and not all only on planet surfaces. So we will have to explore engineers now. Let's move to progression. Currently there are 5 levels of reputation with a minor faction: hated, disliked, neutral, liked, allied. And devs are adding an extra level on the positive side for a smoother but also longer transition from working up from neutral. More grinding. Great. The mission board in station service replaced the old bulletin board. While some of the information remains the same, devs are working to make things much clearer. Now missions can generate messages to your inbox, so important messages will not be lost. I just hope there will not be a spam, and messages regarding missions will be deleted automatically upon mission completion or failure. I really would hate to delete all messages one by one after I did complete all missions. At least those messages should tell us what is going on. Variety is making sure that more missions are available, and making sure that we as players will understand where we can find particular type of mission. More missions should be available at neutral reputation stage. Developing your reputation will reveal more missions, but more importantly, more valuable missions. Devs also are removing rank requirements for missions. The rank will now be an indication of difficulty, and by association rewards. Was about time, because rewards really should be tied to difficulty and to your ranking. There will be 3 stages how missions are created. First, by state of minor faction. Secondly, type of market for the port. And third stage is determined by government type. Missions should have better descriptions about why we should do them, including what effect will have completed or failed mission on this faction. And one of the best changes will be that we will not have to drop out of Supercruise to listen to alternate offers. Remember those messages in Supercruise? Follow my wake, I have an information for you, blah blah blah. And then you drop out just to see that they are offering you like 500 or 2000 credits to fail a mission that would pay you millions. So now we will have ability to see what they are offering, and we can ignore them like before. Another exciting change is how missions and unidentified signal source interact with each other. Unidentified signal source for missions will now generally be located at specific bodies within a system. Well, less random always is better. And they can be located using a discovery scanner. One more use for discovery scanners. If system has enough beacon, and these can now be scanned, and scan will reveal these mission locations as well as providing any exploration data for that system. It's also very good. Nav beacons will have at least some meaning now, apart from going there and killing something. There are now concepts of different parts of space within the system, like traffic lanes and hubs, and different contents can be generated at each. So it really seems that Frontier is taking approach with less random and more logic or common sense. The game should feel more alive. And another change to unidentified signal sources is that you can scan them, and that will reveal more information about them without having to drop out of Supercruise. That's actually a very good change, because who likes to drop out of Supercruise to see that this particular unidentified signal source is not what we wanted? Less time wasted. Very good. So what do you think about engineers? They are promising missions to be more clear and tied to specific characters, telling us exactly why we have to do this and what happens when we complete or fail. As well as there supposedly will be different difficulty and rewards depending on your ranks. We will be able to craft much more than before, which is also a very good thing because we need more variations. Would be nice to see more rock, paper, scissors type of customization options when we gain something at expense of another, like power distributor with bigger weapon capacitor charge, but same time smaller charge for systems and engines, or slower recharge speed, or shields that are better against thermic weapons and worse against kinetic or collisions. Stuff like that when you have to pick and choose and build your setup. I'm pretty sure that players will come up with very weird loadouts. And don't forget new huge weapons, it's very cool. I only hope that grinding will not be main option to reach engineers and get what we want. Fly safe, commanders.